You never know until you try. That's like one of my core principles which I live by, and that's why I also have this neon light here, which is asking why not. And I have a lot of things to say about that, but I would love to hear your opinion on that, and also maybe related to the previous topic, like personal branding, breaking into tech. What is your take on that one?
So I love this quote because it comes back to something that I actually was confronted with almost 6 or 7 years ago. In a traditional organization, you will work for a boss, and that person has a boss, and that other person has a boss, and there's some really huge boss at the top. And that's like a hierarchy. And there
Yeah.
are organizations that are trying to get rid of this system by adopting different systems. And one of those systems is called Holocracy. It's on a
Holocracy.
principle, Holocracy, yeah, Holocracy, basically. And it's interesting because that system revolves around circles and representation from each of these circles, and you can structure the circles how your business needs to. So, for example, if you're an agency, like a digital agency doing services, then you can have big circles for big customers that you have, et cetera, et cetera. But what is most fascinating about this principle is that the the quote that you said before, you don't know until you try, is basically embedded in the system. So whenever there is an idea, the standing principle of an existing company is, we don't know anything about this idea. Let's do a ton of research before we try anything at all. And all of that research costs time and money
Yeah.
and opportunity costs, et cetera, et cetera. And then sometimes, or in most cases, those ideas never come to light because they get smitten down from someone with a negative comment or in a position of power. In holocracy, you have to do the opposite. You need to prove that the idea itself is destructive in some way, that it will not be pursued. Otherwise, by default, it is going to be tried out, which is why I love that principle, is because you should try things unless someone can actually show that it's going to be destructive. Very simple example. All right, let's go back to the digital agency where you work. You're a data engineer and you think that you should move from cloud A to cloud B because it will save you costs. Someone would actually have to show that it will increase the costs for you not to do that. And they can't do that without trying it themselves. So the genius thing is that
Makes
you will
sense.
try it and you will be given the freedom to try it. And that, I think, is the modus operandi. That is exactly how it should operate. Now, coming back to like yourself, if you take this onto like a personal branding standpoint, very simple. Same principle applies. If you are constantly telling yourself, this won't work, I don't know if that's going to work. If you constantly feed pessimism into those ideas, you'll never try any of them and you'll never have an answer about whether they work or not. But try to also not do everything. I think that the risk of like, yeah, let's try everything leads to very quickly people trying thousands of things. And so that's where basically Pareto's law comes in, 80-20. You should try things, but just 80% is enough. Sometimes even less than 80% is enough. Never try to perfectly do something the first time. It's not going to work. So just approach things in a very lean and small way when you try something. Can be, I don't know, like let's say you want to try out streaming. If you spend 1,000 hours setting up your Twitch channel first, and before you even stream for 30 minutes, you have no idea if you're going to like it. Spend a couple hours setting things up, make sure everything looks okay, do your technical checks, and go. Start streaming and see if you like it. But if you, I don't see the point in like trying to try everything perfectly. So if I could expand on your quote, I would say, you'll never know until you try something in a minimum viable format.
Nice. I love it. I love it. But that's also what I always say. Like, people think they start coding for, I don't know, 2 hours, and they can't do it. They don't understand it. I think they can't do it because they don't understand it. And then I'm like, you didn't even try 100 hours, and then you say you can't do it? How is that possible? But let's talk about that in the next episode. Say your last famous words.
Try it.